you're watching the headlines right now, it would be easy to assume the housing market should be freezing up. Mortgage rates moved back up in late March, gas prices in California are pushing higher again, and consumer confidence has clearly taken a hit. Freddie Mac's 30-year fixed rate moved from 6.22% to 6.38% in 1 week. Then the Fed held rates steady in mid-March, and mortgage applications dropped 10.5% for the week ending in March 20th. Now that's the noise. Let me show you what's actually happening on the ground in Marin. Now here's the problem with relying on headlines. They do not tell you what is actually happening in Marin County. I pulled the numbers from BAREIS today, our MLS, of single-family homes only, January 1st through March 31st, 2026. And what those numbers show is not one Marin market, it's really two very different markets happening at the same time. Let me show you. Of the 324 homes that closed this quarter, 63% sold in 30 days or less, and they sold for 103.7% of asking price. Nearly 2/3 of sellers got above what they asked for, and this is called the sprint market. But the other 37%, completely different story. By the time a home sits past 90 days, sellers are accepting 86% of their original asking price. Past 120 days, it's 88%. We're calling this the stale market. That is not one market, it's two. And which one you end up in as a seller is almost entirely determined by who you hire, how you price, and how your home resonates in the first 2 weeks. For sellers, the message is very clear. The first 30 days are your market. If you haven't secured an offer by day 21, the data says you're heading for a pricing cliff, where buyers can expect a 10% or more discount. Testing the market with aspirational pricing today is the most expensive strategy you can choose. For buyers, stop competing for the same new arrivals as everybody else. Target homes sitting past 31 days. That's your negotiation window. While everyone fights for that shiny new listing at 104% of asking price, and oftentimes much more than that, the stale inventory is trading at 90% or less. Now here's something almost nobody in real estate is talking about, and I think it is one of the most important dynamics in the Marin market right now. Insurance. 95% of properties in Marin County face some wildfire risk over the next 30 years, and that's not a fringe issue. That's nearly every property in the county. Major carriers like State Farm, Allstate, and Farmers have pulled back or stopped writing new policies entirely in high-risk fire areas. Fair Plan enrollment is up 43% in the last year alone, and 36% rate increase is in the works. That's the largest increase in 7 years. And here's why this matters for the market. Insurance has become an invisible pricing filter. Homes that are easy to insure sell fast. They're in the sprint market. I just showed you that. Homes that aren't sit on the market. And that's a big part of why we see those 61-day averages and 86%. And those sales prices are clearly part of the stale market. No insurance means no mortgage. No mortgage means no buyer pool. And some of those long-sitting listings aren't there because they had bad kitchens. They're there because buyers don't feel they can get coverage, or the coverage costs $15,000 to $25,000 a year. My advice, if you're a buyer, check insurability first before you fall in love with the home. You can solve that insurance problem in advance, especially when other buyers are being scared away. And you can use that as a negotiation opportunity. If you're a seller, get your home's insurability status buttoned up before you list. Have quotes ready. If you're in a WUI zone, take care of AB 38 inspection and clearance very early on. Class A roofs and ember-resistant vents can cut your wildfire premium by 15%, and some private insurers offer up to 50% off for comprehensive mitigation efforts. Now, I promised I'd address the confusion around pricing data. Because if you've been Googling Marin home values, you've probably seen some very different numbers. If you search Marin County on Zillow right now, it says home values are down 7%. But my MLS data from 324 actual closed sales this quarter show a median of 1.7 million, up from a median of 1.72 million year over year. That's actually over 14% higher. So who's right? The answer is they're just measuring different things. Zillow estimates the value of every home in the county, including ones nobody's buying or selling, using a predictive algorithm. And when broader sentiment cools, their index drops, even if actual sales prices are rising. The MLS, on the other hand, only captures homes that actually traded. And in a market with just 6 weeks of inventory, the homes that do sell are the cream of the crop, the best price, the best presented, most insurable homes. So the closed sale median gets pushed up. Here's the takeaway. If you're a seller, don't use Zestimate to set your price. If you're a buyer, don't assume the market is down 7% and lowball every offer. The real answer depends on the specific property, the specific neighborhood, and whether it's in the sprint market or the stale market. Now, let's go market by market, because when someone tells you the Marin market is up 14% or down 6%, you should always ask which Marin. Let's start with the hottest market in Marin County. That's Larkspur and Corte, Madera. 18 homes closed this quarter at a median of $2.425 million. The median days on market was just 9 days. 9 days. And here's the stat that blew me away. 100% of closed sales happened in 30 days or less. Every single one. 103.9% of asking price. Not a single home in the 31 plus day bracket. This is the purest sprint market in Marin County. If you're selling here, you're in the strongest position in the county. But don't get greedy. The data shows 104%, not 125%. Accurate pricing is what's driving these results. So stick with accurate pricing. And if you're buying, come prepared to compete. There are only 10 active listings right now. Get pre-approved, have your insurance verified, be ready to write a clean offer on day one. You need to be an S-tier buyer here. Mill Valley. 44 homes closed at a median of 2.41 million. Median days on market, 12. 70% sold in 30 days or less at 105.6% of asking. That's the highest overbid rate of any market in this report, bolstered by one home in Scott Valley that sold for $1.1 million over asking price. But 30%, the 30% that missed that window fell hard. The 61 to 90 day bracket averaged just 87.8%. That's an 18-point swing between the sprint and stale markets. Sellers, Mill Valley buyers will pay a premium, but only for move-in ready, accurately priced homes. If you hit the 30 days without an offer, the data says you're looking at a 10 to 13% haircut. Buyers, the competition is real, but watch for homes crossing that 30-day mark. Keep in mind, Mill Valley has a significant hillside fire zone exposure in many neighborhoods, so some of those sale listings are sitting because of insurance, not necessarily defects, and that's your opportunity, but be prepared to pay the fair plan premium for insurance. Tiburon, 21 sales at a median of 3.595 million, the highest price point in the county. Median days on market, 17 days. 71% sold fast at nearly 105%. But here's what makes Tiburon unique. 19% of sales sat 120 plus days. That is by far the highest long tail percentage of any market in Marin, and it's $3.6 million median. That buyer pool is just inherently thin. Sellers in Tiburon rewards patience, the right price, punishing aspirational pricing severely. There's simply just not enough luxury buyers to absorb mispriced listings. And buyers, that 121 plus day inventory is your opportunity. Those sellers accepted 96% of original ask, and on 3.5 million, that's about $140,000 off. Understand why it's sitting. Structure your offer around that specific friction point and use as leverage. San Rafael, 97 sales. It's the volume center of Marin County. Nearly a third of transactions. The median price was 1.4 million, and the median days on market was 21 days. Here's a number that should stop you in your tracks, though. Homes that sold in 30 days or less went for 108.7% of asking price. That is the highest overbid rate in the entire county. Higher than Mill Valley, higher than Tiburon. But exactly half the sales took longer than 30 days. And the 91 to 120 day bracket, 82.2%. That's a 26 points gap between the sprint and stale markets in San Rafael. On a $1.4 million home, that's $364,000. San Rafael is, in fact, the most bifurcated market in the county, and it perfectly illustrates why pricing strategy is everything. Sellers, price right, and you can see 9% over asking. Price wrong, and you're at 82 cents on the dollar by month 3. Buyers, this is the toughest market for chasing new listings. but look for homes that cross 30 days. The discount deepens very fast in San Rafael. 15% of sales happen in the 61 to 90 day window at about 95%, and that's real money. San Anselmo, 22 sales at a median of $1.9 million. This is the 50-50 market. Exactly half sold in 30 days or less at 104.6%. Exactly half didn't. And the drop off is sharp. 31 to 60 day bracket immediately falls to 92%. That's almost no middle ground in San Anselmo. Sellers, razor thin margin for error here. The 12-point gap between the sprint and the stale. The next bracket is the sharpest in the county. You go from overbids to price cuts almost overnight. Max out your preparations, price precisely, launch during peak buyer activity. And buyers, San Anselmo has the charm, walkability, and school district appeal that drives consistent demand, but the listings are missing the mark sometimes. And if it's still available past 30 days, you have excellent leverage. And finally, Novato, 69 sales at a median of $1.35 million. It's Marin's entry point. 69% sold in 30 days or less, but here's the key difference. They sold right at list price, 100.7%. So not above it. Novato buyers have more options and less urgency. They'll pay fair market value, but they won't overbid the way Mill Valley, Tiburon, or San Rafael buyers have done. At $612 per square foot in 61 active listings, more than double any other city, Novato is the best negotiation environment in the county for buyers. Sellers, your list price is your sales price. Don't factor in for a bidding war bump that isn't coming. Price accurately, and you'll sell in 21 days. Buyers, you have 61 active listings to choose from. Homes are selling at list, not above. Watch the Hamilton, Ignacio area, Point Marin, and Marin Country Club neighborhoods for strong long-term value below the county median. So here's the bottom line from 324 closed sales this quarter. Despite the war, the rates, the gas prices, 63% of Marin homes are selling in under 30 days at nearly 104% of asking. Corte, Madera, and Larkspur had a perfect 100% sprint market. Mill Valley saw 105% overbids. San Rafael hit 108. But the 37% that missed that window, they're giving back $250,000 or more. The difference isn't luck, it's marketing, pricing strategy, presentation, negotiations, and increasingly, insurability. If you want to know exactly what's happening in your neighborhood, drop your city in the comments below. And if you're thinking about buying or selling this spring or into the summer, let's talk. The link is below. I'm Kyle Frazier with Imagine Marin, brokered by Compass. I'll see you next time.